It was a cold, stormy evening on the south side of Chicago. The streets were slick with rain, neon lights reflecting off puddles as thunder rolled across the sky. Most people had gone home, but Danielle Carter, a young black woman in her late 20s, was still at her veterinary clinic, finishing up paperwork. Her loyal companion, Rex, a massive black and tan German shepherd, sat near the door, his ears twitching with every sound. Danielle had rescued Rex 3 years ago from an abusive owner who left him chained and starving. Since then, the bond between them was unbreakable. Rex wasn't just a pet, he was her family, her protector, and her shadow. She locked up her clinic and headed home, unaware that a gang of 4 masked men in a beat-up pickup truck had been watching her. The gang called themselves the Iron Fangs, a group known for their racist attacks and robberies in the area. Their leader, Troy, a tall, scarred man with hate in his eyes, had been looking for easy money. When he saw Danielle close her clinic for the night, wearing a gold necklace and driving a modest car, he smirked. Perfect. Just a girl with a dog. This'll be quick, he told his crew. Little did he know, that girl with a dog was about to change everything. As Danielle parked in front of her small suburban home, the rain poured harder. Rex jumped out of the car first, scanning the street. Danielle grabbed her bag and was about to step inside when she heard tires screech. The gang's truck stopped right in front of her driveway. 4 men jumped out, their faces hidden by masks. Hey! Don't move, one shouted, waving a crowbar. Danielle froze for a moment, then instinct kicked in. Rex, guard, she yelled. Before the man could take another step, Rex lunged forward like a missile, teeth bared and growling with a fury that made even the gang members hesitate. The first attacker swung the crowbar, but Rex dodged, sinking his teeth into the man's arm. The man screamed as Rex pulled him down into the mud. Troy, the leader, drew a gun and aimed it at the dog. Get that mud off him, he shouted. Danielle's heart pounded. She knew Rex would protect her until his last breath, but she also knew these men wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. She grabbed a flashlight from her bag and shone it directly into Troy's face, blinding him for a second. Rex, inside, she commanded. Rex released the man and circled back to Danielle's side, growling low. They both retreated inside the house and locked the door just as bullets shattered the front window. Danielle wasn't helpless. She had grown up in a rough neighborhood and had learned to shoot after her clinic was robbed years ago. She ran to her safe, pulled out a small handgun, and loaded it. Outside, the gang regrouped. Troy was furious. We're not leaving till we get that necklace, and we teach that B*********h a lesson. They split up. 2 went to the back, 1 stayed near the truck, and Troy approached the front again. Danielle crouched behind the couch, whispering, Rex, stay low. The dog's eyes glowed in the dim light, waiting for her signal. Suddenly, glass shattered in the kitchen. One of the men was crawling through the window. Rex bolted, silent and fast. A loud scream followed as the man fell backward, clutching his torn leg. Rex dragged him halfway inside before Danielle shouted, drop him. Rex obeyed, standing guard as the injured man crawled away, crying for help. Troy kicked open the front door, aiming his gun, but Danielle was ready. She fired once, hitting the wall beside him. The warning shot sent him ducking behind the couch. You picked the wrong woman tonight, she said, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. Troy snarled, firing back. Rex leaped over the couch, tackling Troy to the floor. The gun clattered away as Rex sank his teeth into Troy's shoulder, pinning him down. The 2 remaining gang members ran to help their leader, but by then, sirens were wailing in the distance. A neighbor had called the cops after hearing gunfire. When the police arrived, they found Danielle standing on her porch, holding Rex's collar, her clothes muddy and torn but her head held high. 3 of the gang members were already restrained on the ground, 1 whimpering from a dog bite. The 4th had run off but was caught a few blocks away. Officer Ramirez, who knew Danielle from the neighborhood, looked at the scene and whistled. Damn, Danielle. You and that dog just did half our job for us. Danielle gave a tired smile, stroking Rex's head. He's just doing what he was trained to do, protect his family. The officers took statements, cuffed the gang members, and hauled them off. Later that night, as Danielle sat on her couch, she looked at Rex lying beside her, his fur still damp but his eyes full of pride and devotion. She whispered softly, good boy, Rex. You saved my life. Rex thumped his tail and rested his head on her lap. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The streetlights reflected off the wet pavement as quiet filled the night again. News of the attack spread quickly. The local papers called it the night the Iron Fangs were tamed. Danielle's clinic became a symbol of courage, and Rex became something of a legend, a hero dog who stood up to hate and violence. But to Danielle, he was simply her best friend, and for anyone foolish enough to cross them again, there was one lesson they would never forget. Once you choose, I'll write the full, extra-long part 2 in one complete piece. The morning sun crept through the blinds of Danielle Carter's small home. The storm had passed, but the smell of wet soil and broken glass lingered in the air. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring at the patched-up window. Rex lay by her feet, his head resting on his paws, eyes half closed but alert. His ear twitched at every passing car outside. It had been 3 days since the attack. The police had taken statements, reporters had swarmed her clinic, and neighbors came with food and flowers, calling her a hero. But Danielle didn't feel like one. She still heard the gunshots in her dreams. She still saw the flash of the muzzle, the way Rex had thrown himself into danger without hesitation. She reached down and stroked his fur. "We did good, didn't we, boy?" Rex wagged his tail softly. But his gaze drifted toward the door, always watching, always guarding. By the end of the week, the story was everywhere. Local news channels replayed footage of Danielle standing beside her dog as police escorted the wounded gang members away. Headlines read, "Vet and hero dog fight off racist attackers." The night a dog saved his owner from hate. Danielle's clinic phone wouldn't stop ringing. People wanted interviews, sponsorships, even movie deals. But all she wanted was peace. One afternoon, she sat across from a young reporter named Sasha Lee, who promised to tell her story with heart. "Danielle," Sasha said gently, setting up her recorder. "You've become a symbol of strength, especially for women of color. How does that feel?" Danielle sighed. "I'm grateful people care, but I didn't do this for attention. I just protected myself. And Rex did what he always does, he protected me." Sasha nodded, then hesitated. "You know, one of the men from that gang, Troy, he's still in the hospital. And the police think someone might be planning to get him out." Danielle's hand froze around her coffee cup. "What do you mean?" "Rumors," Sasha said. "Apparently, the Iron Fangs weren't just some street punks. There's a bigger group, more organized, more dangerous." Danielle felt a chill run down her spine. Rex lifted his head and growled low, as if he could sense her fear. That night, the wind rattled the windows again. Danielle tried to sleep, but Rex wouldn't settle. He paced the hallway, ears pricked, nose twitching. At 2:47 a.m., a car slowed outside her house. The engine cut. Rex growled deep in his chest. Danielle grabbed her flashlight and peeked through the blinds. A dark sedan sat across the street. 2 men inside. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Hello?" A gravelly voice replied, "You think you're safe because of your dog? You made a mistake, lady. Troy was family." The line went dead. Danielle's heart pounded. She looked at Rex, who stood rigid, staring at the door. "Not tonight," she whispered. The attack came 2 nights later, around midnight. The power went out. The street went dark. Rex's ears shot up. Then came the faint crunch of footsteps outside. Danielle grabbed her gun from the nightstand. "Rex. Guard." A crash shattered the silence. The back window broke. A man crawled through, flashlight beam cutting through the dark. Rex pounced before the man could speak, knocking him down, teeth sinking into his jacket. The man screamed as Rex dragged him backward, out of the kitchen and into the yard, but there were more. 2 others burst through the front door, wearing ski masks. One fired a shot. The bullet tore through the living room wall. Danielle dove behind the couch, returning fire. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. "Get her," one yelled. Rex charged back inside, snarling. He leapt onto one attacker, slamming him to the ground. Danielle fired again. The other man's gun clattered from his hand, then headlights flashed outside, police sirens blaring. The attackers froze. One bolted through the broken window, disappearing into the night. The other lay bleeding on the floor, groaning. Danielle stood trembling, guns still raised, Rex growling over the man like a lion protecting his territory. By dawn, the police had swarmed the scene again. Detective Marcus Bell, a calm but sharp-eyed officer, took her statement. "Miss Carter," he said, flipping through his notebook, "the man you shot, he's linked to a larger network. These guys aren't just random racists. They're part of an organized hate group with ties to illegal trafficking, weapons, and narcotics." Danielle blinked. "So, this isn't over?" Bell shook his head. "Not yet. But you helped us expose something much bigger." He paused, looking at Rex. "That dog of yours might have saved more lives than you know." Weeks passed. Danielle's story went national. She was invited to TV shows, honored by the mayor, and offered funding to expand her clinic, but fame came with shadows. Strange cars followed her sometimes. Anonymous letters arrived, threats, hate messages, warnings. She tried to focus on her work, but paranoia crept in. Every knock on the door made her heart race. One evening, as she was closing the clinic, a familiar figure appeared at the door. "Detective Bell, we caught someone," he said. A man claiming to be part of the Iron Fang's second cell. He said Troy wasn't just their leader, he was their recruiter. And before he was arrested, he passed something on to his brother. "His brother?" Danielle asked. "Yeah. A man named Blake Rollins. Ex-military. Smarter. Colder. He's been looking for you." Danielle's blood ran cold. Rex growled softly, eyes fixed on the dark street outside. That night, Danielle packed a bag, clothes, documents, Rex's leash, and her handgun. She wasn't running, but she was ready. As she sat on the porch, the wind carrying the smell of rain again, she whispered to Rex, "We've been through worse, haven't we?" Rex licked her hand, tail wagging once. His body was tense, waiting, always guarding. In the distance, thunder rolled again, echoing like a warning. Somewhere out there, Blake Rollins was watching. Planning. Waiting for his moment. And Danielle Carter, the woman who had survived hate and fire, knew one thing for certain: if they came for her again, this time, she and Rex would be ready.